President John Dramani Mahama has appointed Minister for Local Government and Rural Development Julius Deborah as his new Chief of Staff. He will take over from Prosper Douglas Bani, who will be appointed an Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary. A statement signed by the Minister for Communications, Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah, also announced the reassignment of William Abua as an advisor responsible for the restructuring of NACOB into a commission. Baba Isifu Kamara, a senior advisor for special duties, is also the new National Security Advisor, while Deputy Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Johnny Osei Kofi, also moves to the Flagstaff House as a Deputy Chief of Staff. The statement noted that the President's appreciation for the work carried out by all the officials who have exited and expressed confidence in the capabilities and experience of the new appointees. So that is the statement we woke up to this morning from the office of the President, or the seat of government, and it's been signed by Edward Omane-Boamah, current spokesperson for the President and Minister for Communication. And the statement, as you may be aware now, is that Julius Deborah is the new Chief of Staff and takes over from Prosper Bani, who is now being appointed as an Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary. We are joined on the line by Dr. Alidu Seidu. Dr. Seidu Alidu, he is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Doc, good afternoon and thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, sir.
Right. First of all, would you say it is surprising that Prosper Bani has been taken off the office of Chief of Staff and reassigned?
You know, I don't think it's surprising. We all knew he was just biding his time, because I think some weeks back we realized that the presidency issued a statement that three important people, I think we had a speculation that three important people were resigning. And it was the secretary to the president, Raymond Atuguba, Dochemalo, and then Mr. Bani. And the idea was that, or the suggestion was that there was a huge power play at the presidency, and that makes coordinating government business very difficult. So I think the president said he will not accept that, and they all resigned. But later on, a press statement was issued from the presidency saying that only Raymond and then Dochemalo has left, and Prosper Bani was still around. So it's not surprising. We all knew that if that was the reason why these two gentlemen left, he would definitely go. What is rather surprising is the person who has been appointed to replace him. A lot of people were not expecting him to come to that position. All
right, we'll come to the new appointee for Chief of Staff. But are you, by your earlier submission, saying that the President has kowtowed to public pressure and public speculation that someone like Prosper Bani should be kicked out?
Yeah, I don't think one of the cardinal principles of a good governance is what we call responsiveness. That is government's ability to listen to the will of the people that government represents and be able to factor the aspirations of those people into the day-to-day policy-making processes and governance decisions. So one of the crucial reasons was not the pressure from the citizens, but I think it was the fact that the presidency has gone through a lot of challenges. And one of them is the serious energy crisis we are all facing, whether you are NDC or MPP. And that has created huge disaffection towards government. So it will be very sad if the grassroots of the NDC and Ghanaians in general cannot assess the president simply because the Chief of Staff is not playing the coordinating role that he is supposed to play very well. And most of the issue was that I think most of the NDC grassroots supporters were saying that they cannot assess the president. The Chief of Staff is not an NDC insider, so he doesn't understand the needs and the aspirations of the NDC grassroots. And we are going to an election year. If you allow these opinions to go uncontested, these challenges to go unaddressed, you are definitely going to lose a core majority of your voters simply because of the inability of one particular individual to work to achieve their aspirations. So I believe that it's not bowing to pressure, but it is also a very strategic political decision. Going to an election year, you need a chief of staff who is a grassroots person, who is able to perform that coordinating responsibility between the presidency and the various political interests and factions in the Ghanaian political discourse. So I think this is one reason. And the second reason also has to do with the fact that there has been a lot of power play. And to be able to stop this power play and have a synergistic working relationship within the seat of governance, this is something that you have to do. You experiment with new talent, you bring new talent on board, and you realign new talent to see what is going to happen, especially given a current challenge and the current aspiration of the president.
Right, Doc, would you say the exit of these three people from the seat of government is going to bring some form of finality or harmony at the seat of government?
Yeah, I think if they once a confidence has been reposed on you as an individual, then you have to put up your best to meet the expectation. So the first thing has to do with the fact that if the president picks Mr. Julius Zeba from the local government ministry straight to being a chief of staff, then it suggests that he has huge confidence on him. So he has to work in a way that will redeem the confidence that the president has reposed in him. And he can only do that when he's able to coordinate very well the various shades of opinions and then the expectations of the grassroots in relation to the president that he is serving.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Seydou Alidu. He is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. And we stay with this issue. We're speaking with the executive director of policy think tank Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo. He had written an article barely an hour before or right after the news broke that Prosper Bani had been reassigned. Some are saying we should not say he's been sacked or fired, but he's been reassigned. And he's joining us on the line. Mr. Kujo, good afternoon and thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. You described the immediate past chief of staff as extremely wasteful in your article and said that he spent in excess of 41 million Ghana cedis, as in like in the allocations that was given to him, and also went further to enumerate a number of things he supposedly did wrong. Would you say you are excited, or it is good that the president has heeded to quote-unquote public pressure to let him out of the chief of staff's office?
Well, first of all, thank you very much. And let me correct an impression that the article that you are citing was only written a while ago in terms of its content. Can you hear me, sir? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. There's a bad feedback, that's why, sorry. Let me just say that a couple of weeks back, Imani published Public Sector Leadership Awards, and the Chief of Staff Office came up tops as the worst performing public sector leader. The article you're referring to was just 70% a rehash of the very publication that we did about actually a month and a half ago. So we cannot necessarily be jumping for joy that somebody must have lost his job. I think what we are rather interested in is the fact that the president has understood that the office of the presidency has been, unfortunately, not served him as he wished he could have been served well. The office, again, has been profligate, not just wasteful, but has also shown a certain lack of, understanding as to what that office really brings. The office is supposed to, first of all, show that the occupant of it, as in the chief of staff, has some gravitas. Some gravitas that would mean that his orders would not be disrespected in the open, and that when he gives command, people would in fact respect his command. The other challenge that the chief of staff had was the fact that he had a clear limitation in making good use of the pair of tools he had before him. And the pair of tools here have to do with the human resource that were strung across the various sectors or the various ministries. The challenge here is that the Chief of Staff is supposed to be playing what you call an Assessor General's role, which essentially would mean that he looks across the entire spectrum of the ministers that we have and decides that if there must be a particular job that ought to be executed in tandem with the political party's objectives, then a certain set of skills was supposed to be brought to bear. Unfortunately, the Chief of Staff couldn't juggle that clearly well, and so it led to depressing results in terms of the performance of various ministries. Don't forget the Chief of Staff started a project which was to analyze, indeed, critique all the performances of the various ministers in the current government. It only ended with just two, just that of the Minister of, I think, Education and that of Energy. And we never had anything again. It's the duty of a Chief of Staff to keep the institutional memory of an organization right, and also to show force that whatever he intends doing, especially when it borders on his staff, his subordinates, is done and carried through properly.
All right, Mr. Kujo, would you say an issue of incompetence has a role to play in the final decision of the president? And if so, what would you say in the fact that he has been reassigned to what some are describing as an even higher position?
That's not. First of all, it's not a higher position. An ambassador as a plenipotentiary doesn't necessarily mean a higher position. It means that you can be at the beck and call of the president anytime. It's just like a mere minister of state who can be called to do any task at all. It's just the name that makes it sound that is a good thing. I'm not saying that anybody who occupies it is not recognized. It's a demotion, really, because Chief of Staff is much more. It's bigger than the current position, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I think I've been saying for a number of minutes now that yes, everything about the Chief of Staff's office, the mess that was created, can be ascribed as inefficiency.
All right, and finally, Julius is coming in as. What would you advise him to do in terms of playing the role, the middle ground role between party and government?
Well, first of all, the Chief of Staff's role, his duty is to the state. It's not to any political party. I've heard a number of people making a commentary that the Chief of Staff lost his post because he couldn't deal with the party people. The party people, first of all, are not his first and most important outlook.
All right.
I mean, if it were the case, we might as well close shop, close the Flagstaff house, and just organize ourselves under a party. The Chief of Staff role is much more important than that. And I do not want people to start pigeonholing Julius Deborah into becoming a party tomboy. He would not. Julius Deborah would like to be dutiful, D-U-T-I-F-U-L, as he is. He would like to be sure that he's able to utilize the set of tools he has before him. It's a big job. I know it's going to be big for him, but he needs to just take his time and get it done.
Well, we would have to leave it here. Thank you very much. Franklin Kujo, he is the Executive Director of Imani Ghana.